So you've been meaning to declutter your home for months, maybe even years. You start at a drawer, you get overwhelmed, and then you close it again. And I did this with my mom. So we cleared out her entire place basically over a long weekend. And there are 9 brutal tricks that work whenever it is ticking. And I'm going to walk you through every one of these. And then I'm going to tell you what no one told me, the part that those tricks that they could not fix. And this week we had the question from Patricia, and this is what she wrote in with. Weldon, my mom's husband passed away 5 weeks ago, and she doesn't want to stay in the house by herself. It's too overwhelming. She's 71, lives in Phoenix, and my brother and I are both out of state. My mom has been watching these decluttering videos late at night, the clear your house in 48 hours kind. And she's calling me at 11 p.m. exhausted, trying to power through 35 years of stuff alone. A friend of hers has a daughter who just got her real estate license last year and then offered to list the house. My brother thinks that we just need to fly out and help her sort things out. Are we doing this right? Okay, Patricia. Right on. Thanks for writing in. Always. I appreciate it. And I know that this is what y'all want to do. You want to be by your mom's side and help her out as soon as possible. That's what I heard in that letter. And so this particular question, it's on a trajectory of downsizing, a downsizing question. But if you're watching this considering downsizing, you're also in the right place. It doesn't just have to be your parents. These methods that we're going to talk through work in both situations. Downsizing, though, that usually has multiple factors. And in this scenario, we have death and perhaps some emotional difficulties, the other D. So we have 3 Ds together: downsizing, death, and difficulties, which that is completely understandable. So, what I want you to know first and foremost, at least for your mom, Patricia, is that you're not alone in this. I get this email about once a month with different angles, though. So, a baby boomer considering a downsize, adult kids watching their parent in transition. Each situation has unique factors. And I want to tell you up front, I lived a version of this. My mom's husband, he also passed, and we cleared out her entire place over a 4 or 5 day period. So when you write in here, I'm not guiding you or providing this information from theory. It's actually been practice. Now, Patricia, you asked a specific tactical question, which is great. How do we declutter this house in this case as soon as possible? And I'm going to answer that question. That's what the next 10 minutes is all about. But before I do, I owe you a harder question, because what you didn't ask about is the part that's actually going to follow you, your family, for the next 20 plus years. That's the tax conversation, the estate conversation, the mortgage conversation, where mom lives next. Those don't have a timeline. They have consequences a lot bigger than the deadline that you're worried about. So if you're watching this, I'm going to caution you the same way that I would caution anyone. The decluttering is the question, but it's not the only conversation that has to happen. And the right team for those bigger conversations probably isn't a brand new agent and 2 caring kids on a plane. You want the right teammates around you. You want to be asking the right life goal questions and then optimize that scenario to preserve wealth. And that's before anybody signs or sells anything. Get a plan in place. Now, here's a quick sidebar. If this is where you are right now, there's one in the caption below, and we've got a free webinar called the Preserve $25,000 or More of Wealth During a Life Transition. That's going to walk you through how exactly to do this methodology. Or if you'd rather skip the webinar, you can book time directly on my calendar from that same link, and I'll talk you through the coaching options that are available to you. Either way, we're going to figure out a way ahead for your situation. And if you're new here, subscribe. More life and wealth and real estate content is coming out every single week. Now, let's get to the question that was actually asked. And here it is: 9 brutal decluttering tricks that actually work. Every one of them I used at my mom's house. And by the end, you're going to know exactly what to do when the clock is ticking and you need to get it done. And I'll come back at the end to that bigger conversation. Trick number 1, and this is the foundation of everything else. So the destination sort. So figuring out where these things that you have in your house for decades, where they're going. You're not organizing things. You're not making piles of maybe. You have 4 places that each of these items in your house are going to go. It's either going to be going with you, it's going to be donating, it's going to be selling, or it's going to be trash. That's the whole vocabulary. Every item leaves your hand pointed at one of these four places. And the reason why this works, it's because every time that you let yourself say, I'll figure this out later, you've just guaranteed that that drawer, the one that you don't want to mess with, that it's going to take you at least 45 minutes instead of 5 minutes. Now, what I recommend is to tape a piece of paper to the wall in every room with those four words that we just said. And when you get confused on what you're doing in that moment, look at that wall. You have four options. That helps you to refocus immediately. It allows you and everyone else, if you're fortunate enough to have some help, to move through the house faster than you might imagine because nobody has to think because everyone is just sorting according to those four buckets. Now, here's trick number two, and this is the 60-minute rule. You don't get to spend 3 hours on the kitchen just because it feels important. Every room gets an hour. And when the timer goes off, you're going to move on. You're going to come back. You're not abandoning anything. You're actually forcing momentum. This is a positive thing. And the reason this works, it's because sentiments, they compound. So the longer you stand in a room with 35 years of memories, the more the memories are going to show up. So 60 minutes, that's enough to get the easy 90% out of the way, 90% of the room just done. Then you come back at the end and you finish that last 10%, the hardest part, mind you, but it is a real thing to work through. So at my mom's house, we made it through every room because we kept the timer honest. And that first pass was all about speed. The second pass was the few hard items that we just couldn't get through the first time, but we figured out a way ahead. Trick number three, this is the sentimental items method. So you don't keep the thing, you keep the picture of the thing. So you take your phone out, you take a picture, and then you put it in the donate or trash pile. Your kid's first art project, right? We don't have to keep that. The wedding china that you've used twice in your life, the sweater you or your spouse wore, phone, picture, then put it into the pile. Because what you actually want is the memory, not the object. The object, it's been in the box for 15 years. I saw this personally. And you haven't seen it, you haven't needed it, but the memory, it does mean something. The memory with this method, it's going to survive, and you don't need the object for that. The object, it's going to die a slow death in a storage unit someplace. And at my mom's place, I took close to 200 photos in 2 days. So we put together a digital photo album for her, and that way she had it. She could look through it later. And she's looked at it more often now than she ever did the actual items themselves. So there's one tip, and it's worked out great. All right, okay, here's trick number four. Get a dumpster on day one, not day two, not day three, not after you've decided that you might fill one, day one. So a residential dumpster that's 20 cubic yards, get it dropped in the driveway, and just know that you are not the right person to have to drive 45 minutes to the dump every single day. That is the process that you're about to go through. Your job in this case is to make decisions. The dumpster, that's somebody else's job. And the reason this works is because the math, it's brutal when you actually break it down. So a dumpster, that's 300 or 400 bucks. A weekend of you driving back and forth to the dump, that's 2 days that you're not going to get back. And again, at my mom's house, we filled the dumpster in 3 days with 100+ bags of stuff. Not because she was a hoarder by any stretch of the imagination. She had meaningful life that she had lived for decades, and it was well lived. But if I'd been doing dumpster runs that whole time, I'd have spent half the time in the truck. Hire that out on day one, and it's going to make your life so much easier. Now, here's trick number five. If there's anything worth selling, so a piece of furniture, a collection, a jewelry, tools, call an estate sale company. Don't run a yard sale. Don't sell it on Facebook one piece at a time. So an estate sale, they're going to come in and they're going to price the entire house in a day. They're going to run a 2-day sale, and then you get a check. Now, why does this work? It's because you don't have time. Look, the tricks that we're going over right now, that's the easy part. What almost cost my mom the house, that wasn't a bad realtor, it wasn't a bank deadline, it was pure affordability. And the thing that almost beat her, again, it wasn't the math, it was the freeze. I understand that the person that you have been spending the most time with for years, if not decades, is now gone. And it's difficult just to be there. But you have to look at the finances. She was going to keep paying for a house that she couldn't afford because taking action felt harder than just being complacent. And I get it. But if you do that, life is going to happen to you. Unintended consequences are going to happen. So her gut, she already knew the right answer. Overwhelm was just keeping her from getting there. And this is the bigger conversation that I cautioned you about at the start. The tricks, they help, but they're not the whole answer. And we're going to come back to it in just a little bit. So for now, let's just keep going. Now, here's point number 6. And this is the only question that really matters. Is this item, is this object actually going with us? That's it. Not do I love this? Not will I miss this? Not is this worth something? Is this going with us? Yes or no? Because the trap here, it's every other question is a doorway into nostalgia. So, will I miss this is a 4-hour conversation that you don't have to have. Is it going to go with us? And again, that's a yes or no. And whenever you think about the item, put yourself in the new place. You have new square footage, and the math is going to win. You have to visually have a place where that is going to go. And if you don't can't answer where this is going to live, don't bring it with you. Here's trick number 7, and this is no decisions after 8 p.m. I want you to think about this. You're tired, you've been making 100 different decisions throughout the day, and now you're still trying to push into the night, and you come across some other that is pretty benign, a benign object. But all of a sudden, fireworks happen. I know this is never going to be the case in anybody's family, or maybe it's just mine. But I know that the later it is during the day, the more fatigue that we have mentally, the less patience that we have. And nobody wants to be making this amount of decisions, this magnitude of decisions in that state, right? That's not ideal at all. So then just gets magnified with a death in this case. So the emotions that are there. And then you add a deadline. The reason this works is, and again, this is no decisions after 8 p.m. It's because the morning decisions and the evening decisions, they're made by two completely different brains. The morning brain is yes, no. The evening brain is everything and grief. In my mom's situation, we worked 9 to 7 and then stopped. We had dinner, we watched a show, we slept. The hard items that we'd hit a wall with at 6 p.m., those were 5-second decisions at 9 the next morning. Now, truth be told, I was arranging things, but not making decisions after those evenings, because that's where it is, where you're trying to make those decisions. If you're just organizing again, putting things where it goes, that's a little bit different. Trick number 8. This is where boxes get labeled by where they're going, not by what's in them. So bedroom, kitchen, 3 or 4 words of the content if you have to, then you're done. The unpacker on the other end, they don't care that it's books. They care which room it goes in. And the reason this works is because the second most time consuming part of the move isn't packing. It's the moment when 20 boxes are stacked in the living room and nobody knows where any of them belong. So skip that step entirely. At my mom's house, I labeled every box with the room name in giant Sharpie. So the movers, they grab boxes off the truck and drop them into the right rooms. Mom, she unpacked one room at a time. She wasn't hunting for the coffee maker for 3 days because that's the way we had organized it. And that method absolutely works. And here's trick number 9. This is the one I almost got wrong. So, the closure ritual, the thing where you sit with whatever it is that you've let go, the crying over the photo album moment, the remember when moment. Save it for after the work, not during. Because here's what nobody's going to tell you. The hard part of a forced downsize isn't the stuff, it's the freeze. It's the 71-year-old standing in a room that you can't afford anymore, looking at a photo and going still. And once you go still, you stop moving. And once you stop moving, the deadline, it still keeps coming. So if you're going to sit with the photographs, sit with them after the boxes are taped. And at my mom's house, this is exactly what she did. So, not the third hour of the third day with 3 rooms left to do. The closure, it has its place, it is needed. It is not in the middle of the work, though. It's only going to stop you from getting to where you want to be. So, those are the 9 tricks. They work. I used every one of them at my mom's house. But like I said at the start, they're not the whole story. The harder conversations are the ones I cautioned you about: the tax piece, the estate piece, where mom lives next. Those get answered by working in the right order. So we figure out that life goal first. We optimize it for wealth. And then we look at the real estate, if real estate even belongs in the conversation. And in this case, it clearly does. There is an underlying reason why you're moving, but we need to get those other two things squared away first. And that's the sequence that I used leading people in the military. It's the sequence that I walk families through now. The next step isn't the next box. It's the next conversation to make sure we're asking the right questions and setting this up for success. So if this is where you are right now, click the link in the description below. Check out the coaching options that are available to you. And whether that's joining a webinar, booking time directly on my calendar, or just learning more, it's all right there. Either way, we'll figure out a way ahead for your situation. And if you're new here, click that subscribe button. I give out more life, wealth, and real estate content every single week. I'm Weldon Hobbs, and when we're making big decisions, we start with your life goal, we optimize it for wealth, and then we focus on the real estate. Remember, good decisions start with good information, and I'll see you in the next one.